Okay. Um, Welcome, everyone. Um, we are going to have a talking circle according to the guidelines of the talking circle given to us by our elder, grandmother Rita Blumenstein, our Yupik elder that passed away this year. And she was working with the 13 indigenous grandmothers and many other indigenous organizations. And she found in all indigenous cultures, this exists in different ways, but with the same shared guidelines. So the first rule of the talking circle is to read the guidelines of the talking circle and see that everyone agrees. So I put it in the chat box. You can go to the link and look at it with me. And Kelly, do you want to read that? Do you want me to?
Oh, sure. I'm happy to.
Okay.
I'll pull it up. Well, for some reason it's not coming up on my iPad, so you may need to read it actually.
Okay.
All right.
I'm sharing screen as I'm reading it. So in the talking circle, the circle does the talking, we are doing the listening. So even when I am speaking, I'm listening to the words, whether they come from my throat or from my other self's throat. We listen from the heart, as Anita was reminding us, from the ear at the heart of the heart, the center of the word heart has an ear. Let's open that ear and listen from there. Respect yourself, ourselves, our other selves, the ones that are here in the circle and the ones beyond this circle. Respect other people's time and attention so that everyone gets to speak or gets the chance to speak. You don't have to speak if you don't want to, but everyone should have the chance to speak at least once in the circle. Your truth is as valid as my truth, even though they may be contradicting. When we ask to speak our truth, we refer to what we know on a cellular level, not what we were told or taught or educated, but what we have experienced, and through our lived experience, this is our truth. And we understand it could be very different to someone else. If the lion is telling the story of chasing a deer and then the deer speaks, they both have very different truths, but one is not more right than the other. So let's expand and let this contradictions even to coexist. Listening and also speaking without agenda, without titles, flags, or thinking what I'm going to respond to what someone is saying. Listen like a child hearing something for the first time. Think of the first time you heard there was such a thing as a platypus. Some things may sound very imaginary, but they might be true. So let's respect that person's truth that they are brave enough to bring here and share with us. What happens in this circle stays in the circle. Many of you were with us earlier today, and I think we all felt that some things are co-created when this energy comes together, when people are being truthful and in their heart. And that may not be the case because we are not living that way all the time. So some things may come up here that are not to be discussed outside the circle. So even though we're live streaming, and even though you may know this person beyond this circle, some things may be relevant just for the circle. So before speaking to anyone about things that came up here, ask for permission. Ask permission from the person you want to talk with, and ask permission if you're going to mention someone else. Ask both their permissions. And if you don't receive that, then that's okay. It's their right to say no, okay? Is that agreed for everybody, or is there anything anyone wants to change or suggest?
A couple of points, yeah, Al.
Yeah.
First of all, this says it's being recorded for YouTube.
Yeah. Yes.
Normally, a talking circle involves participants.
Okay. Are you suggesting that we don't? Because we said to our community that it will be, and maybe some people want to share it with, I don't know. What do you suggest?
Well, then it would not be
A
traditional
talking
talking.
circle? Okay.
So either you take it out or leave it in. If we leave it in, it's not a traditional talking circle.
Would it make
Okay.
sense that people agree who are in the circle if they're okay with it?
If they're okay with it, it's fine.
But it's a sharing circle rather than a traditional talking circle. Is that what you're saying, Kuya?
If you leave it open to Facebook, yes.
Okay.
And also, we're supposed to have a musical before this.
Yeah, I was
Oh.
wondering.
Yeah,
music-
sorry, I went completely into the circle. Okay.
Well, thank you. It feels good that that's the preface and that we all got blessed with that reminder. So thank you, Al.
Thank you, Gil.
Yay. So I'm happy to MC and welcome everybody to some heart nourishment with music. And if you're up for it, Renee, I would love to welcome you to play first if you'd like, since you're there on Kauai.
Yes.
So I'd love to introduce my dear sister, Renee Gianton, who's also my housemaid on Kauai and musical sister and a mermaid, and just carries deep musical wisdom and beautiful heart messages through her breath and fingers of music. So thank you, Renee.
It's my pleasure and honor to be here, and I mahalo all of you. I thank you all for letting me join this circle, and I am very, very happy to be here today on this beautiful day. And I have right now, the first instrument that I have is called the Hawaiian nose flute, Iho Hano Ohe, and it is the pure breath that comes through the nose. And so I'd like to begin with that since I'm here in Hawaii and on Kauai with my background of beautiful Mount Makana. And I'm just going to go ahead and play if that's okay. Mahalo nui loa. I also have a beautiful Native American flute. Let's see if I can show it to you all. So made out of ebony, and it was made by a gentleman in New Mexico, and it is a precious instrument. I'd love to share the heart through the flute from New Mexico here on Kauai.
Woo! Mahalo.
Mahalo to you. And then I also have one more flute that is
So-
from Peru. Yeah.
Before you start, double
Okay.
check your original sound setting because it's not coming as
Okay.
clearly as it did yesterday.
Okay. Let's see. Original sound. It says enabled. So
Okay, great.
yeah.
All
Yeah.
good.
Okay. So this flute here is from Peru, and it's also in the same style as a cocopelli flute. The humpback flute player went all over the place with the seeds of love. So here we go.
Thank you, Renee. Can
My
feel your
pleasure.
love.
My
Yeah.
pleasure.
I'm sorry to everyone. It didn't come in as clearly as yesterday when we rehearsed. So we're still refining our musical offerings, but it came across beautifully. So thank you for your love.
Mahalo to you all. And maybe next time we'll get the sound quality better. But
Yeah.
it came from my heart. So
yeah, we feel it. The crystal bowls were singing while you were playing the flute. So they picked
beautiful.
up on it.
Oh, beautiful. Oh, wonderful. Resonant. They're in training resonantly. Nice.
Yeah, you're fluting the pathway for us to return to Kauai. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. I can't wait to see you all again. And those of you who I haven't met yet.
Oh, wonderful. Well, it looks like our brother Dan has been able to log in. Hello, Dan. Are you with us? If you could unmute, I'd love to welcome you. And if you can do video, love to see your smiling face if you can join us. Aloha, Dan.
Hello, can you see me?
Coming
Can you
in.
see me?
Hardly.
Oh, it's kind of dark. I see your.
Okay.
I see some glowing eyes. Are you in your wolf form?
Oh, no, I'm in. Hold on. Let's see if this works. Sorry.
It's okay. While you're working on it, I'll
I'm
introduce
here.
you.
It's
Yay,
as best
aloha.
it's going to be. We got a snowstorm that we drove through, and we're parked out here, and I'm using my truck lights. So we got a minute with you guys.
Yeah, we will keep it short so we don't wear out your battery. Thanks for joining us. I would love to introduce my brother Dan Nanamkin. He's a beautiful young elder in his community from Nispelem, Washington. On his mother's side, he's part of Chief Joseph Band of Walaoa. Is that how you say your tribe?
Walawa.
Walawa, the Walawa tribe and Nez Perce. And on his father's side, he's part of the Colville Confederation of Tribes. And he was an incredible spirit weaver at part of Standing Rock and up on Mauna Kea and in all the communities he blesses with his presence. We're really honored to have you today with us, Dan. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sister. Appreciate you. It's a great honor to be here. I can't see who's all here today. I'm not tech savvy, so it took a lot to get here with you today because I'm on the road. I'm traveling. I'm doing a presentation with the youth. We got a pretty wicked snowstorm, so we had really scary ride in here today. But I'm very grateful to share a song with the elders. I really respect and appreciate our Inchachachin, our Nkakachap, our Siao Saus, our elders and our ancestors and all of those that have gone on before us. And today I wanted to sing a song that I composed. I compose songs, and this is one that I composed in my language of the Tseluk people, and that's from here, my homeland. And this song is giving thanks to Kulin Chutin, Creator, for this life's breath. It's giving thanks for this new day. It's giving thanks for the light that gives us direction so we can go in a good way. And I express my happiness. My heart is happy. So today, really thankful. And I would love to be able to join you all again and share some words, but most of all, listen to the great wisdom of the elders. I always love to learn, and I'm a bridge because I work with the youth. So all my life, I've listened to elders, spiritual people, ceremonies, and have done my best to share what I've learned with the youth of today as I go to the schools and try to inspire our children. So this is a song that I sing with gratitude and respect. Normally I would have a drum with me, but since I'm holding my phone, you just got to listen to me. And thank you, my sister. You know, she's been a great friend to me, and she's helped me when I went to visit her in Kauai. And I really, really enjoyed our time together and the music that we shared with one another, and good friends and good hearts. So I thank each and every one of you. So this is the song that I sing many times in the morning or times that I give thanks. Wait, yeah, hey, hey, hey. Ya, ya, hey, ha, hey, ya, hey. Way, ya, hey, ya, hey, ya, hey, hey, hey. Way, oh, hey, 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 oh, lem, colechote, tatupa, kal, will, tan, slocum, chod, kal, quam, dishkal, kal, ya, ay, me, wake, nish, goy, Mejaseskoy Yante el seispos Ay yo hey 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 oh Ay ya ya hey ya hey Wera ya Wera ya ayo hey yo hey Wera ya yo hey Wera ya hey way ya hey yo hey hey yo hey yo lem kolen choten tatupa kal will tan slocum chot kal quam iskal khat ya me weken iskoy me iskoy yan pel seispos ayo hey oh hey hey live relatives mahalo. Thank you very much.
Ooh, mahalo, Dan. Love it. Blessing up the highway.
If you
I
could
love
see
it.
all of this snow right here, you'd be pretty amazed. So we're going to get back on the road before the roads get slicker on us, okay?
Ostella.
Lim relatives.
Mahalo. Safe journeys. Woo.
תודה רבה, thank you. So thank you, everybody, and I apologize for jumping into the circle instead of listening, teaching for me. And thank you, Renee, for the flute. In Hebrew, we say, Hach batof vehach bechalil. You can beat two instruments, the drum and the flute, because the flute goes straight to the heart. So thank you. And thank you, Dan, for sharing with us the gratitude and the sounds and the vibration. And thank you, Kelly, for bringing them to us. And Kelly, are you going to share some of your music with us?
Whenever there's space and good flow, but I know we're moving on to the talking circle now, so I'm happy later in the week or at the end of the talking circle, whatever aligns.
Well, I think we can invite anybody else that wants to share a song.
Nice. Okay. Well, I would love to share a spirit song. Some of you all know I love receiving songs from nature and from my heart, and I'm very honored I've gotten to do music with Renee and Dan, and I'm just beginning sharing more of my songs. So this is one I sing when I travel, and really acknowledging my star ancestors and the light essence of creation that blesses us all. And this song helps me to stay connected to my fuller self. Sending love to my ancestors. Here I am in this land of love and light. Sending love to my ancestors. Here I am in this land of love and light. Hey ya, hey, hey, hey ya, hey, hey, hey ya, hey, hey, hey ya, hey, hey, ya.
Thank you, Kelly. And we have Carol Blodgett that raised her hand. Carol, can you share a song with us or some music?
And also, Yal.
And also Andrea Menard. Yeah.
I didn't realize I raised my hand.
Oh, it says my hands are up.
I've got a very bad connection. I'm here in, it's raining very hard and very windy, and I live in a yurt, so my signal's a little weak. So I will pass that song because my grandson tells me I sing like a frog because I spin with the water, and so I will pass that. But I would want to give my hands are up over here in Washington. That's a traditional way of acknowledging that beautiful song that was just sung, and the flute playing. So my hands are up in creating appreciation, and so I will pass the singing to someone else who doesn't sing like a frog.
Oh, but the songs of the frogs are such medicine. So may you continue singing in your special way. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you. So Andrea Menard, I know you sing beautifully. Can you share with us?
Sure. Well, miigwech, tanchi everybody. I'm Andrea Menard, Ninshkotekwe, which is my name, Firewoman in Anishinaabe. And I also carry the name Notagoyutin, which Dishnikashon, which means I am grandmother wind. So I'm a fiery old grandmother. So I had just yesterday, I released, out to the world some water songs for people. And, I was going to sing that one, but I got a whisper for another song. So I'm like, okay, we won't do that song, because those of us in BC here in Canada, I'm on the traditional territories of the Squamish, the Tsleil-Waututh, and the Musqueam people. And we have big big water flooding here in BC. So there's lots of prayers going up for that. Like things washed away, Vancouver's cut off on the highway. So, so I was going to sing that one, and if there's time, maybe later, but I was asked to sing this one. So this one's called, it's a brand new one that has yet to be heard by anybody. I don't have my guitarist here, but it's brand new. We wrote this in the summer, and it's called Mother Nature Gives. So please hear a beautiful guitar in the background. All right. And this is about a reminder of me singing this to myself. So it's not a finger pointing song. It's a pointing at ourselves and what's our job here. Okay. When was the last time you prayed for the waters and honored the sea in your tears? Water is life and life's in the waters. Water birthed us all here. The tears you've been given will heal the regret, 'cause you're human, sometimes you forget. Yet, what will you do now as Mother Nature gives? What will you do now as Mother Nature gives? In the spirit of reciprocity, will you remember to return all the love that she gives and gives and gives and gives? When was the last time you stood with the forest and honored the dirt at your feet? Dance with the trees just like they're sisters and brothers, but right now your relatives grieve. This world you've been given has all that you need if you don't let your love turn to greed. What will you do now as Mother Nature gives? What will you do now as Mother Nature gives? In the spirit of reciprocity, will you remember to return all the love that she gives and gives and gives and gives? When was the last time you looked in the mirror just to despise what you see? How can you hate this blend of spirit and matter, the sacred gift you receive? What will you do now as Mother Nature gives? What will you do now as Mother Nature gives? In the spirit of reciprocity, will you remember to return all the love that she gives and gives and gives, gives and gives and gives, gives and gives and gives and gives and gives and gives and gives. Hey, merci, miigwech.
Thank you, Andrea. Carol, you had your hand up? I guess not. Okay. Who's coordinating this next session?
Shall we close the musical part now and move on to the talking circle?
Yep, unless Sabra wants to sing a song.
Oh, welcome, Sabra.
Yeah, I was on earlier, but then I got a phone call and I had to break off. I'm on my phone, but I'm enjoying the music so very much. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Okay.
So, Kuya, shall we open it for the people present to decide if this should be a sharing circle or a talking circle?
Yeah, we've got this YouTube on live right now, and if it might constrict what you say, because it's very personal, then we should get off the YouTube and be a regular talking circle, or just a sharing circle to share what we want to share. That would be open to everyone. What is your desire? Anyone want us to cut off the recording for YouTube? Okay. Yeah, would you explain again what Talking Circle's about?
Okay, I just want to maybe suggest that if someone feels that something very personal comes to them and they don't want it shared on YouTube and recording, you can ask to pause it, okay? That be okay, Kuya?
Yep.
Okay. All right, so I'll put the guidelines of the talking circles and we're going to have a sharing circle based on these guidelines. So here they are again.
As Yael had explained, the talking circle, as taught to us by our elder who's now passed away, Rita Blumenstein, that we are in an official talking circle, and we have these various guidelines. First of all, we're a circle because no one is higher or lower than another, and that we must speak from our hearts, which means listening without agenda. What we mean by that is that if you're thinking about how to respond to something that somebody else said, you are not listening. That you just listen, and when it comes time for you to say something, you say it from the heart. And that you should keep in mind that there are other people present that may want to talk also, and that there's no crosstalk, which means unless you are saying something positive about another, you don't refer to that person's talk. And if you refer to that person's talk because it's positive, you must first ask that person for permission to do so. And you speak your own truth. Everybody's got their own truth. Your truth is equally valid as my truth. And we have also that everything that's in the circle stays in the circle. And we use these rules or guides to produce the greatest good for everyone. Is there anyone who disagrees with these guidelines? And is there anything else that should be added to it?
Kuya, I just want to mention that you don't have to speak. Everybody needs to be given a chance to speak, but you don't have to if you choose not to.
Yes, it's totally under your control. Okay, who wants to start? Yeah, would you take the guidelines off?
I did.
Signs off. Thank you.
We do.
Anybody that wants to share, this is an open session.
Well, somebody's got to say something, so I'll say some things, some sharing things. So in the talking circle, maybe time to not just talk your own truth, but to maybe unburden yourself by putting some things out there that maybe you're thinking about, struggling with, or just to see where they land. Sometimes you find a good feedback. People have another point of view or your own too. And so I was kind of saying a little earlier, some of the things that I'd like to bring out to people of in the circle. It's just the things that we're trying to discover and look at with the wisdom weavers. And Fairy has continually said, the condition of the world. So I guess that's kind of what I would like, if anyone would throw some stuff out there about the way that they see things now. When I was listening to the music and the young lady singing there, a very beautiful song, and it made me realize that things are different now. Things are different now than when I was, younger. And the expressions and so the things that we're doing here with the wisdom weavers, being picked up by persons like that, really is encouraging to see that the younger generation is taking truths and bringing them out in a way that's maybe a lot more relative to their own generation than we can do as elders. Sometimes it's bridging that generational gap can be difficult. So it takes people like those two that we were, seeing there. We see, Renee singing and the young lady singing, and Dan, acting as those bridges. And so to me, that's really encouraging to see, and I want to thank them. And it's something I have to say as an elder that I long for that, to see them, because even here in Alaska, and I remember times when kind of ceremony and we had to do 2 or, double row, 3 row people coming, to pray, and then things kind of taper off and people spread out and go different ways. And then it appears, at least on the surface to us elders, that those things are not important to them anymore. They're not happening anymore. And so that's concerning to us, that we feel like, maybe those things will be slipping into the unseen world again if people don't come and ask. And I remember here in Alaska as well, around when we were singing around the big drum at a lot of events, and youngsters coming, and we'd always try to tell them, better go talk to grandma and grandpa, before this stuff's gone away. You got to go ask questions, if you don't go ask, and that's true in a lot of the native traditions. If you don't ask, they're not telling you, right? You have to step up and ask a question. Grandma, why this? Why that? Otherwise, sometimes it's just kept inside, whether it was drum making or songs, ceremony, spirit travel. If you, with rare exception, that's not something you just toss out there. It's kind of incumbent upon the younger people to bring that tobacco offering or a gift and be curious, that wonder that was mentioned earlier. So anyway, I just wanted to mention that and to say that it was definitely encouraging to see the younger people reaching out in a way that seems so new and different to me, but yet beautiful and conveying similar concerns and feelings about our creation. So with that, I'll pass the talking stick to someone else. Or Stella.
Thank you, Ed. Kat, I see your hand up, but I would like Auntie Sabra to go now and then Kat, okay? Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. I loved your music, Renee. I came on when you were playing your music. Oh my goodness, it sounds so beautiful. And of course, you have Makana in the back of you and the beautiful mountains of Kauai. But I wanted to point out that for all of us, there is a very significant eclipse, lunar eclipse this evening. And while it's only partial, it will be 97% of the moon will be cast with the Earth's shadow. It's a 6-hour long partial lunar eclipse. And it's the longest lunar eclipse to occur within a span of 1,000 years. And it aligns with the full moon tonight for all of us. And it will go into the early morning hours tomorrow. So I will be watching it from, Renee, for us, it's 11 o'clock. It'll be full. So I'll begin earlier at Nawili to watch it come up above Anini and then go over. I can't stay awake for the whole thing. I have to teach some classes in the morning. But I invite you all to observe this beautiful moon, Mahialani moon, and to do your prayers and songs to the moon for all of mankind, for our earth, for our children, and for those generations to come. Mahalo to each and every one of you. Aloha.
Aloha, Auntie. Thank you so much for your wisdom earlier today. And thank you for everyone who infused us with knowledge and belonging. I wanted you to know that since this morning, the birds have been active here in Homer, Alaska. An eagle flew right overhead as we began. And currently I'm watching a pair of yellow birds nudge each other from branch to branch. And I'm just aware of how much longing there is in my own heart to fill the holes where I have been injured and wounded and still need to learn how to forgive. And your words are making my own inner weave stronger. That is all.
Who is facilitating this, Yao?
Kelly and me. Sometimes kuya in these circles, in my experience with women's circles, there is room for silence as well. So
I know, but everybody's tired, so especially the elders, we want to get it on as soon as possible.
okay.
Thank you for your sharing, Kat. And we're glad that you've been nourished today. And we welcome anyone else who wants to share.
Hello, my relatives. My name is Chitanaji in the Lakota language, and that is Spirit Hawk. And I want to thank Auntie for sharing about the moon tonight. And as was acknowledged in the guidelines, that there are differences between the way different things are used, different energies are used in different ways among different peoples. And so I want to share teachings that I have about this sacred time of this alignment of the cosmos. And so when the sun and the moon come close together like this, my teachings are that this is all of creation. And so my teachings are that you set your altar up, but you stay inside. And you go inside, not just physically, but within yourself, so that those energies of realignment that are going to realign the cosmos can realign you with the energy of the realignment of the cosmos, so that you stay connected to all that is. Don't feel in disharmony afterwards, or that you're like going around saying, oh, why do I feel like weird? And so that's just a different teaching about these same kind of energies. But as a water, I pay very close attention to the moon and the moon cycle. And so like I said, I set my altar up. Actually, I'm using 4 days of this full moon, and so that I can do a 4-day ceremony with this energy, and because this alignment is just coming. You know, there's the coming and the going of things. When I go to ceremony, when I put my things in the car and I leave, I'm already in ceremony. For me, that's my teaching, is that when I leave with intent, you start to get yourself ready for that ceremony. And so you start to step into the energy of the ceremony. And so I honor if you choose to use your teachings, because it's important to understand that we're all in a different space on this planet. And so we all have to acknowledge where we came from and the teachings that were brought to us about all of this natural world that is part of us. And so the way we work with that energies varies by the teachings of where you are and where you're from. You know, I don't know how to deal with energies from Hawaii. I haven't spent a lot of time around volcanoes. So we have to acknowledge and respect these differences are very important. World, there's no two trees that are alike, and there's no two bears that are alike. But at the end of the day, a bear's a bear, a tree's a tree, and a human being's a human being. And so I want to give my thanks and gratitude for Creator setting it up so that that can be seen very visibly right now. And so thank you. And I'm going to say that I am feeling in awe every day at the beauty of this world, and our ability to be part of this world, and to not just be walking on it, but to be part of it, to really be a part of everything that's happening and living in the now. And so with that, I'm going to step back and pass back this feather and or talking stick, whatever we're using here. And thank you very much. Over show later.
Thank you for sharing, Carol. Honoring each unique expression of creation is such a great teaching that I think will help so many people in these times of divisiveness. So thank you for honoring that. And I was given a note that Robin Goff, would you like to go next?
Okay, hello. So I have a light center in Kansas, and kind of a remote place, not like beautiful Hawaii, just simple little Kansas in the middle of the heartland here. And I recently was preparing for a retreat and at my center, and Alarian was one of the speakers for that. And all during those weeks preparing, I started having deep memories of the most amazing elders who have come to my little place. And it's like, how does this happen? How have I connected with such amazing people, elders who came to share their story? And it's such an amazing blessing. Probably the most important impact in my life is learning from these elders. And Leela Oman, who's Inuit elder, came. We just had a mutual friend, and she came, and I believe it was her last trip down to the States from Alaska. And Mona Palaka has come to us, and Rita Blumenstein, and Sobanfu Somé became a dear, dear friend. And while she wasn't an old elder, she was a powerful elder in my life, and her stories have changed me at a deep, deep place. And I think that some of the greatest hope that I carry comes from sitting with grandmother Rita, who at the time was 84, I think, about, when she was with us. And she told me about all of the change that she had observed in her lifetime. So here in one woman's lifetime, she went from the life of a hunter-gatherer to a more modern day culture as we have now. And so that, for me, feels extremely hopeful that we can make that much change in the next lifetime, in the next generation, you know? So I too, like Ed was expressing, have questions about how do we bring these amazing, inspiring stories and teachings to younger people who may not see an elder person as a teacher in their lives? How can we assist them to be more open to the experience and the wisdom that comes from elders? Because we can all remember being 20 or 30 years old and we thought we knew everything. And because kids now have a device in their hand, they do have access to all kinds of information that's beyond our imagining. And so I wonder if Alarian could speak to that a bit, like how do we reach out to the younger generations that have so much ahead of them in their futures, that is extremely frightening for them and heavy. And there's a lot of disillusionment among those generations. And so how do I, as an older person, bring the gifts of story and wisdom that I've received, how do I bring that to younger people? So I feel complete. Thank you.
Thank you, Robin. Now, for your information, we do have a gathering with youth. What is that, tomorrow, Yal? Tomorrow?
Yes, tomorrow morning.
And also, each of you can bring along youth that you feel might be benefit from the talks with the elders. And also that we need to invite elders to bring in youth that we don't, everybody's got their own truth, and your truth is equally valid as my truth, and and everyone's on their own sacred path. We cannot interfere with another sacred path, but we can provide guidance. And one of the things about the guidance here is that that the elders should be the first ones to identify the youth that should attend or could benefit from attending. And if what we share is useful, it gets spread out so that more and more youth would attend. And then I would look at the functions that various groups put on, Native American groups and other indigenous groups, that youth are invited to. So that's my answer. Anybody else?
Yeah, I would like to add, thank you so much for referencing that, Robin. And it's definitely one of our core intentions for Wisdom Weavers is to bridge ancient wisdom into modern times and to really connect the hoop of life between the youth and the elders. And that's a lot of the work that I've done in my life, running nature programs for kids. And so I'm excited to find more ways to have hands-on programs, both in Kauai and other places where, and I know Elder Ia Tahira also works in the nature mentoring networks and reaches, does outreach to youth. And so this is our puzzle and our creation, how to make these bridges, and very much dear to my heart and at the core of Wisdom Weavers. So thank you for speaking to it. And we welcome all the right youth to keep showing up in the right timing. And I just wanted to add for myself, I grew up in a city with zero spiritual exposure except being baptized when I was 9 or something, in the local church. And somehow Spirit always whispered me on my path. And in my 20s, I met up with Tibetan Rinpoches in Texas, of all places. And I just got sucked into this world that I didn't even know existed. And so, like Alarian was saying, trusting everyone's sacred path, somehow my heart and my spirit and my ancestors have guided me and brought me back to remember what the wisdom bundles they had to drop, because they were part of the Trail of Tears, and they were part of African slavery, and they were part of so many ruptures. And that's been my journey, is to pick up those medicine bundles and to listen and to identify within myself how to express my gifts. And then with that, I've met people like Alarian and the Rinpoches and different elders that, like they say, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And that has definitely been the blessing in my life. And, that was in my 20s. And now here I am in my 50s, and here in this beautiful, beautiful, rich basket of Wisdom Weavers. And so I have a lot of hope for the youth, and for what ways that each one of us, the crumbs and the pathways and the beautiful lit, golden threads that are all there to caress the youth and to entice them to find their own medicine path and to connect with the rest of us. So that's a big part of my joy of being connected in Wisdom Weavers, is to share my own story and to weave that to the youth, as I've been doing for 30 years through these nature programs, and excited for more of that, because when you feel it, it's real. And that's what we're excited to find more ways to do that. So thank you for any inspirations that other people may have. I'll pass the feathers.
Thank you, Kelly. I've been an alternative educator for most of my adult life. And my thing is, when I don't know, and often I don't know, I ask. So I see Holly and I say, if we want to know what would bring the youth, let's ask the youth that's already here. Holly, can I ask you to share your wisdom, thoughts with us?
Yeah. I have a 17-year-old boy. Social media is quite the tricky thing. And then he has lots of friends that come over, and my way is opening up space and feeling them, and then asking questions and just having curiosity and really listening with no agenda. And then sometimes asking questions to motivate or to create thought on a wider level, I guess I would say. And and I don't probe too much, and that seems to keep them coming towards me. I'm just here, and if you want to talk, then here I am, and that seems to work for the ones that I'm around. And that is all I have.
I just wanted to follow, if I may, Hollis' thread. One of the things that I having sat with my own youth, raising 6 children, 5 boys, especially pretty much on my own, but the listening. And sometimes what I found is that as adults, we want to give children our minds. We want to give them our thoughts, as opposed to doing what Holly does. It feels like curiosity. And sometimes I think as adults, we forget that we were these children. There might have been other things in place, influences in the world that influenced us different than the young people today. And it helps me when I can remember that I was that youth. And what was my curiosity? What were some of the questions that I had? And since I do that work, one of the things I ask the adults that I'm working with really is, what was the one question that you asked between the age of 3 and 7? Out of your own curiosity that didn't get answered by an adult or the people in your life. Or if it got answered, it was not satisfactorily answered to you. And it's still hanging out there in your psyche. And it's a clue to what we do for young people and what we do for children in general. Because we treat them as if they are extra too, something that arrived. We forget that they are an extension of us. That we are those children. They come along. And so what do I remember about myself when I was that age? And what was my curiosity? And what would I have wanted to be present for myself? And answering some of those most difficult questions that I might have had, or some of the curiosity that I had. And I found that if I can approach it that way, it allows for this joint relationship, camaraderie. Because actually, what I found is that the young people are bringing a vision. And we, the ancestors, are holding a vision. I mean, we, the elders. And the ancestors, on the other hand, holds a vision for us. So we join these pieces together. This is my way of working with vision and holding those pieces, because I'm really holding a basket and allowing it to come forth and weave itself into place, acknowledging it, and acknowledging that it has to go forward, and hoping that we're bringing the best offering to go forward together. And that it's like we're sifting through what things, have you thought about looking at it this way, and allowing. And I think that intergenerational dialogue, to me, that's how I feel, is that it's 2 things. That it says the elders and the youth are the forward generation. They are the forward ones to lead us in going forward. Because there's a newness, and here's the elder, the wisdom that comes over and able to hold a bigger picture. That's if we're not caught in our own judgment and judging what it was like when I grew up and what you're not doing what it was when you grew up is totally different than where they are. We didn't have to maneuver all of the information and the influences. Sometimes I feel heavy for the young people because there's so much for them to carry today, so much maneuvering. So how do we hold this basket together is what I hear when I'm talking to young people. And what I heard Holly saying is that exploring and going down there with them as opposed to, you know, using a separate way of looking at life. But what is it you have to offer? You know what they have to say. So anyway, I just wanted to pick up on that piece of thread to leave it out there. Because, thank you.
Mahalo.
I was just gonna say thank you. That was so well said. I love that. It's like holding a basket. So good.
This is such a great conversation to plant some dream seeds in this lunar eclipse to warm things up for the morning for our youth elder talking circle. And I'm wondering if you're still with us, Dan. I know you're headed to go work with youth tomorrow morning and that you do a lot of this work in your community. I'm wondering if you have any words you want to share.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah. Thanks
All
for
right.
joining.
I didn't catch that. I think the lady with the 17-year-old son talked to that Holly. Would love to talk with you more because in people with children that age, tomorrow that's going to be the age group I'll be talking to at the high school and the junior high. I've been doing a lot of work with the middle school students, and we've been doing a few presentations with the high school and we did a presentation yesterday at Central Washington State University. So the age levels that I'm working with, I learned different components, I guess. I'm going to step outside. We're just having dinner. So we're in a restaurant, sorry. We have a really brutal winter storm coming right here. And one thing that I've learned working with youth, is just things that you can talk about. I think sometimes we go beyond ourselves, and youth are very smart. They see when we are talking from things that we have no experience with. So what I've done with the youth is talk about things that we may have in common. Some things that I've learned, though, that a lot of them really want to learn culture. And within the educational systems, culture is very limited. And that's our Indian values, cultures, stories, songs, and our history. So these are things that I bring out. And I like to start off with my flute. And it always seems, no matter where I travel, once you have the ambience with the flute, that always brings that atmosphere, to a nice, comfortable level. But the challenge with the youth is keeping them engaged. So even myself with the teenagers, I'm thinking, oh man, if I don't keep them engaged, we're gonna have a lot of trouble. But I talk from spirit, and just like I'm talking with you now, and what I do before I address the kids or I address anything with high importance, I always have some of our plant medicines, our roots, things, herbs like that we gather from our mountains that we gather with prayer. And I center myself in a prayerful way because I'm not talking to the youth's ego. I'm talking to their spirit. So when I prepare myself in the spiritual way, I have been able to be very successful so far with all the youth. I've traveled all the way from New York, Texas, California, Canada, Hawaii, Molokai, and many places in between. And all the presentations I've done with the youth so far have been all positive. And I've been doing this with them for the last 5 years. So if you go to my website, www.nanamkin.com, I have a lot of my videos on there, my links to my social media. And I think one of the fun things is seeing what kids like. And that's a lot of fun. So it's bringing that humor. It's bringing that sense of encouragement and inspiration. And that's one thing that I think the youth need to hear. Just be inspired, be loved. Know that you're loving them with the genuine spirit, and that you're going to walk with them because we all have made mistakes and we've all had challenges in life, and just to be real with that. And so I could go on, and I know you guys have agenda to go through. I just wanted to share these words with you, and I thank you, sister, for calling upon me. I wasn't prepared to talk. I was like, wow, there's all these strong, beautiful people here. I didn't think I had a right or to talk. So thank you for honoring me.
Thank you so much, Dan. You're a blessing in this world, and we're grateful for all your sharing. And I know you're probably hungry, so thanks for jumping off out of dinner to join us. And you've brought a lot of richness to prep us for our youth elder talk tomorrow. And if you
I'm just getting ready to eat my fortune cookie and see what that says.
all right. Good blessings ahead. Thank you so much.
Mahalo.
Yeah. And to be continued. It'd be fun to weave you into our youth programming anytime.
Yeah, I would love that. I would really love that. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Lim. Okay, how are we doing on time? Looks like it's about time to close soon. I can't remember the time frame on this one. But if there's anyone else that feels inspired, please share. This is our precious time, and we'll be doing these talking circles every evening. Isn't that correct, Yael?
Yes. Tomorrow is supposed to be a little bit more of an open stage, but I think today we had a bit of both, and it was a good mix. And this is a learning process. We are trying this out. We've never had that kind of gathering online. Last gatherings were on Kauai in person. So we are learning, and we welcome your feedbacks and to learn with us. So yeah, I think we could have a bit of both every evening.
Beautiful.
I think I just want to share. Again, it's Tanchi, everyone. If you're on a phone, you can't see. I went to my computer and I can see all your beautiful faces. It's way better. Hi. So, hello, I'm a Métis woman from Treaty 1 territory, and I didn't introduce myself because I was so kerfuffled just looking at myself in the phone. But I really just wanted to say from my heart how moved I was from the circles today. And I know I'm looking at the wrong thing. The holder of stories, this basket that Auntie Ia talked about, is that you wove together a beautiful, beautiful basket today for us. And I'm just so filled up. And I wanted to just acknowledge our elders, the beautiful wisdom keepers that
share what they know and share the love, the profound love that they share in this world. Just being in your presence is incredibly healing. And I just want to say, Marcy, miigwech, kinenaskuntan. That's all.
Thank you, Andrea. Oh, I'd love to echo that as well. Just, it felt like this next layer of the spiral going into our human beingness together, and that we can really enter into that humanity to walk together. And after what Dan said as well, like the youth and all of us, we want to feel connected. We want to feel held, and we want to feel in alignment with our human family and our earth family and feel that harmony. So I feel this basket is like a big hug. And so thank you everybody for weaving your thread of love and beauty with us today. And if anyone else would like to share, let's have a few more sharings from the heart and have time to integrate tonight and really rest and celebrate the eclipse in whatever way you feel called. So I welcome whoever else wants to share next. Thank you.
I want to give my thanks and gratitude for all of you today, and all that has been shared. My heart is warmed. I founded a program called Nurture the Children in 1992, and I've been working with our youth ever since. And I find for me, get them out on the land, and then it pulls them into that space, and they connect so quickly. And even our troubled youth, it allows them a way to find a chance to breathe, because sometimes I don't think they even feel like they can breathe where they're at. They're just so stuck. And so I'm so grateful to hear all of these people that are working so hard with our youth. And right now, yeah, this is our youth, seventh generation of prophecy, and trying to see that this is their time, and they have a great deal to offer this world. And allowing them to step into their power, helping them to see that they have power that is not what they think power is. And I'm grateful for that opportunity, and it really warms my heart to hear everyone speaking about the youth today. And so as we step into this new energy that surrounds us, I give thanks and gratitude for all of our youth worldwide and all that they have to offer.
Thank you, Carol. Ingrid, I saw you raising your hand for a minute. You want to share?
I chickened out. And then my daughter is sitting here beside me and she said, Mom, why are you starting to type? Why don't you just talk? I just want to say I am so deeply moved, especially this part about the youth. I have 6 children. The youngest is beside me here, and she's 10. And a 16-year-old, an 18-year-old, 20, 21, and 17. 2 are my given children. And you know, you're always holding this beautiful vision for their future and trust the thing of, I feel, trusting their path and wanting to hold space for it to be a path of light and love. And like Dan was saying about, they're smart. So it's what you model that they see and learn from. And when I experience what they experience in their school life, this emptiness or lack of culture, I know that I feel that lack to live into what I would want to model for them. And so I just feel so deeply grateful for today, and so hopeful and so honored to be part of this. And I just feel the arms reaching around the youth. And I know from my own children that they have so much to offer, and they're so beautiful. And I'm really excited about what the youth are bringing. Yeah, so I guess that's all I want to say. So thank you. Thank you for giving me this moment to share. Thank you to all of you.
I feel your heaviness, and I feel your the pressure that it is to be a mother right now on the planet. So many young ones are very concerned. They do have access to much information that we didn't have when we were younger. And they, even though they haven't lived with nature as intact as we had when we were children, they are aware that the living conditions are breaking down on the planet. Some of them have incredible anxiety about it. Some of them are depressed. Some of them are suicidal. Some of them have eating disorders. It's weighing heavy on their minds. And my heart is curious how to bridge that gap between youth and elders in a way that wisdom can be exchanged both ways, not just the ones who have a long life, but also the ones who have just are coming into life, and they want and they need ways to make an impact on the planet. And I've been mentoring youth for many decades, and the urgency quotient has really risen in the last couple of years. And whenever it comes to climate, I almost get like a lump in my throat because I don't know how to say this without sounding confused or like my mouth gets dry, and I'm nervous because I don't know if I'll have the words or the energy to extend to them an invitation to find ways to connect the wisdom of the elders with the curiosity and innovations and new ways of thinking of the youngers. That's all.
Thank you, Kat. Thank you for acknowledging that pressure, that anxiety, that mystery that we don't know what's ahead, and that we have this space of wonder and this space of co-creation, that all of our gifts will create something together. And I feel like that's part of what we're wanting to foster in these discussions, youth and elder discussions. How do we synergize our gifts and create the space so that real change is visible in our co-creation? And right now we're still talking together about all this. And I think once we begin embodying it with the elements of creation and showing people. Like that's one thing I've learned on living on Kauai is the magic of co-creation with the elements is alive and real. And I experience the magic every day living there. And now I'm experiencing it even here in Texas, where I didn't think the magic was, I thought it was all squished out. And it's here because now it's inside of me, how to play in the magic and co-create and see instant transformation in the density and in the what felt overwhelming becomes a play, becomes the playground. And so I really feel you and hear you, and I'm excited to bring more of this kind of embodied exploration together through these webinars, through nature programs, through retreats, whatever we can dream in, that we can all have fun and embody our earth inheritance as co-creators. So thank you. And I'm curious to speak with the youth about that tomorrow. So I'll be moderating tomorrow morning, and I'm really grateful for all these inquiries and acknowledgements of the energies at play. So thank you. And how are we doing on time, Yael?
Well, we're actually quite spacious because, again, we didn't know how big this was going to be or how long it was going to take. So we planned for another hour.
Wow, awesome. What a great...
Yeah, we can go, yeah, as long as we feel, I guess. But I'm moved to share from a personal place, kind of. So I don't know, beyond grateful to this unexpected. It feels like a working group. I really feel like you are all kind of hard brainstorming with us around questions that we've been having. So I'm so grateful for this gift that this group is gifting us. And I want to share behind the scenes things. So when we thought about this gathering, we thought, okay, we're going to welcome everybody and create a place that is a safe space. And then in our experience, nearly always when people go to the heart, when we go to the heart, the first thing that comes is pain. So we thought, let's give pain the way, because that's probably going to be the second day, because that's what comes up. And then something like I was supposed to send the program and I couldn't click send. Something didn't sit right and I couldn't place my finger. And then one of our elders asked to say something. She knew that we've been working very hard and it was nearly done, but something doesn't quite sit well, because we, in the native cultures, we bring the children. We bring the children early on from the beginning, because when we say to go back to the heart, to go back to the inner child, we need the children to remind us from the outside about the child inside. We need to remember why this journey is worth it, about the magic, as Kelly said, that we once were, that we still have, even if we forget it. They are constant reminders. And so it just clicked. And then my Alma, just second Hebrew, Alma, אני יכולה לחלוק? מה אמרת? And then my girl said, she heard me speaking to the elder, and I was saying, I think this is right. I think we should switch the days. And she said, of course, Mom, it's just like the womb. First you welcome the different pieces, and then when there's unity, something new emerges, the new generation. And then just before birth, there's the pain, the immense pain, and then there's the joy of birth. And I was like, how did I not think of that? I'm the one giving birth. How does she know? But that was the elder and then the youth, and it just came together. And so thank you. And now we are nearly only women here, which is quite amazing. And so when we ask how to bring the youth, I feel that we in Hebrew, a knowing is something physical, very deep. Adam knew Eve, and then she was pregnant. וידע אדם את חווה אשתו, ותהר ותלד. And it's as deep as the womb. This is how deep knowing is, not knowledge, but knowing. And I think we have the knowing for the new generation because it grew, or it can grow, in us, in the feminine. That most of us here are a feminine human, or we have that side in us. And when I was pregnant and I had nausea and hunger at the same time, and I thought I was going crazy, right? Because most of my life, I just had one heart and one body, and I was either nauseous or hungry, but both, and two hearts. And I realized I'm not going crazy, I'm just pregnant. But for how many of humanity is this a reality? And even though we were all in a womb, so we know that to be true, we forget. And women have a constant way to remember, and we need to recall that and remember and help each other remember, not just our other selves, women, but our other selves. And yeah, so let's go in and find a way to ask our inner child what would help the children come. Thank you.
Thank you, Yael. And I love how, like you said, all of a sudden here we are, almost this kind of working group focusing on youth and education, and that's what we've been calling in, and now it's blossoming. It's time. And so thank you, everybody that's here. And you know, I'd love if you want to send, I mean, how would there be a way for us to stay connected for anyone who wants to continue exploring this topic very specifically? I feel like this could be a really rich flower, and we can all be the petals of this exploration in whatever way, in our own lives and with wisdom weavers, and helping to inform and guide this energy. So what would you recommend, Yael, how to stay connected?
I would say tomorrow is a good day to continue that. And or I can put in the chat box our email, and you can email us if you want to continue this, and we'll get back to you. And if there's enough people to form a group, maybe we'll, you know, find a time together and start this on some regular, monthly or yeah, periodically.
Yeah, it's because I mean, that has been a core seed of Wisdom Weavers for so long. And so it'd be great to, you know, maybe have this be one of our monthly webinars. Okay, let's share resources of working with youth, and, you know, different experiences and opportunities, and hearing each other, hearing the challenges and hearing the breakthroughs. So I would love that personally, and welcome anyone to email us there at heart@wisdomweavers.world. So thank you so much for sharing. I am really tired. It's 8:15 here in Texas, so I would love to sign off, Yael, and pass the co-facilitation to you if you don't mind. And
thank you, Kel. Thank you so much. Kelly's been with us since before we started the opening ceremony, and she's been with Wisdom Weavers since 2017, actually, from when they started planning it, because it was her and Quill who started this whole thing. So yeah, well-deserved rest. Thank you, Kel. Love you.
Yeah, thank you to everybody that's showing up, and thank you for carrying these dream seeds out into your days and into your dreams, and for creating a beautiful basket together and beautiful tapestry. So many thanks, and we'll see you in the next couple of days. Aloha.
Aloha.
I'd like to share.
Please.
I'm thinking about the really youth, like babies, those who are coming in, like making the crossing here, and even just like young children. I would say one of my greatest pains of this planet is feeling how unmet emotionally and spiritually, I would say the majority of little ones are, to the extent that I would really want. And so what comes to me is just right now, all the consciousness planes are simultaneously existing, right? Like we're turning a radio dial. And so like there are billions of kids on this radio station right now of heart. And I'm doing this myself right now, and I want to invite whoever wishes to join me, where it's like when we plug in, and it's almost like entering a room where they already are, and just letting them know that we're here with them and we see and feel them. To me, it's a type of prayer in the silence of my heart. And I do this sometimes, and even just right now, I think about how I could do it so much more. Like this meeting through the heart. We don't have to be in the same space or even talking or even meeting ever in human form, directly. But what would happen if, those of us adults who really care, and so many of us do, just kind of plugged in through the heart and through this telepathic echolocation, just sending forth this radiance of like, we feel you, we love you, all around the world right now, like all these little ones. This pure heart. Meeting them where they are in these worlds of, these pre-verbal worlds of beingness. And this silent recognition deep inside that goes everywhere. And then it's like those of us in adult form, we're holding them somehow, wherever they are, whoever needs us. And what comes forth from me, kind of sending this forth along the sound waves or whatever, it's like, I see you. Thank you.
Thank you, Olivia. Is anyone else moved to share?
Is it all right if I comment a little bit on what you said, Olivia? Those are very heart-spoken words, and I certainly concur with you. Appreciate that. That's one of the things that tugs at me every day as well. Is, you know, and you said it well there, just in your prayer. I see you. You know, little kids many times aren't seen. You know, as a father, I know you mothers, you know, raised kids, and sometimes dads are out trying to find the food or whatever. But you know, as you raise them up, and got a couple or two or three of them, and you know that youngest one's always the loudest, right? He just wants to be heard, he or she, and so sometimes, you know, they feel like that they're not, you know, they're not noticed. No one's listening to me. You know what? So I gotta yell louder and louder. And of course, you know, we all know that carries forward with us as adults as well. If our spouse or, you know, our cohabitant is maybe not seeing us or hearing us in the way we want them to, we tend to do things to try to make that happen, right? And so that's real out there for the children, and when I see these things on the news or whatever, they're just unbelievable to me of how did we as human beings get to that point to where, you know, a couple, for whatever reason, whether it's drugs, money, whatever, or there's a body of a 2-year-old in your wall, or, you know, I was reading one just the other day, a sister who called because her other sister was chained up in the bed, you know, and the parents kept her there. Another one where the police entered in and the house was just filthy, you know, and then a little kid in the crib, maybe only 1 month old, but cockroaches in his blanket, but the parents there, you know, more than 3 adults in the home. It's like, how do we get to that point as human beings? That, you know, have we failed generationally so that those parents have no skill or see no value in the child, only just a burden? You know, how do we, especially those of us who are trying to reach one another in this form and others, how do we reconcile that? How do we reconcile, you know, our children climbing over the dump in Mexico City or Rio de Janeiro or Hong Kong, and, you know, they're eating garbage, or, you know, and living amongst themselves? I mean, this is something that I pray about all the time. And so it was good really to hear your words, and yeah, I join you and pray about that for the little kids, because that's what it's all about. And it's always been that for me as a warrior. When I was a soldier, you know, I was a soldier because I'm a defending warrior. I remember when I first went in the military, it was just like 1974, right? And so Vietnam War was just still kind of going, but winding down. And I was on an airplane in my uniform, and this little kid was behind me. He was maybe 5. And he kept looking at me. And then he finally stood up and he grabbed his arms on the chair like that and leaned forward. He says, "How come you want to be in the Army?" He says, "Don't you know them people are getting killed over there?" And the only answer I could give him was, "So you can stay home and watch cartoons. That's why. So you don't have to." So we do these things, you know, for them. I think that's part of our dance of life as humans and animals as well, is to care for the young. And when I see these things and read about them and hear about them, and it's just hard for me to even comprehend how, you know, we've, as a race of humans, have fallen so far in that regard that other things have more value than our children. So anyway, yeah, I'll pray for you, pray with you, pray for them children, dance for those children, do ceremony for those children. And yeah, I hold them in my heart every day. So thank you, sister, for holding them and the rest of you here, holding those kids. I hope we got you there.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Ed. And if you are moved to share anyone, you can unmute, and that will be like taking the talking object, the talking feather.
Hi, this is Chitamaji Carol Blodgett, and I'll pick that feather up, and I want to share some things about Standing Rock and the way being there, going there for our youth, and standing and living in that teepee has given me such hope for where we're going. I don't know how many of you know much about Standing Rock. Standing Rock was started by the youth. We do. And so they set up a little camp alongside the river. They went to an elder and Donna Allard, and they said, what can we do? And so they ran. They didn't walk, they ran all the way from North Dakota to Washington, D.C. They had appointments to see senators and representatives and the president. They got there and no one would see them. No one would see them. And they stayed until they had no more funds. They ran back home. And when they got back home, they said, what do we do now? And so they did. They went to first the 7 council fires of the Lakota people. And they went to each one of those tribes and they asked them to please come and stand with them. That they had to stand in unity. And the tribes came. And they set up the Shutiochoan campfire. They set up 7 teepees, one from each of the nations. Last time that had been done was just before Custer's last stand. When Custer attacked them, not knowing also the council fires were together. They had come together to discuss how to move forward, how to proceed. And it was a powerful thing to watch. These youth reach out to their elders and have the elders respond by setting up those council fires, by coming together, by staying together, and by supporting them to fulfill the prophecy that they began to fulfill there at Standing Rock. The prophecy was, and I may get this wrong because I don't have it written right in front of me, but I apologize if I make it. So the seventh generation will rise. They'll be a light to the world. And they'll bring all the people from the four directions together. And they did. People came from all over the world to stay maybe 2 weeks, maybe a few days, to bring donations. I helped a woman set up her her tent next to me. She was from France. She came for 2 weeks. She stayed for 6. She left her husband and 3 kids at home, and she came as a medic and worked in the clinic. We had the Sami people come. We had the Aboriginals from Africa and Australia and New Zealand. And our youth have such power that they don't realize within themselves. And I thank Tomas Lopez, the elected leader of the International Youth Council there. I knew Tomas from Sundance when he was very little, walking around trying to sell you a pickle because you need the salt. and I just remember during those times of setting up and breaking down at Sundance, that young man and how powerful he was, and to see him now standing as such a and so I want to thank everyone here who's working with our youth in helping them to see the power that they have within themselves is not what people think is power. Power has nothing to do with money. It has nothing to do with status. It has nothing to do with any of those worldly things. It has to do with being able to stand in your own strength and know this is what has to happen, and just do it. And my heart is just beaming because I have such hope for our youth and little children. They're going to be our presidents. They're going to be running this world in whatever way we decide we need to run it. And so I thank everyone who reaches out to work with them in any way. And moms, I know it's hard. I was a single mom. I know it's really hard. Hang in there. Hang in there. And thank you for helping them to see who they are and find who they are. All my relations. Doksha.
Thank you, Carol. I too was a single mom for 8 years or so before I met Kuyach and moved to Alaska with my 2 kids from Israel. So much appreciation to all moms, all parents, single parents. Yeah. And as the elders say, the time of the lone wolf is done, and it's so important to find one another and to be able to ask for help and receive help, which for me was a big teaching. I think it was a big part of why I was a single mom. I needed to learn how to receive help. So thank you to all of you who are helping us right now, much more than we've expected. since some of the people here weren't with us from the beginning, then I'll just remind you of what we're doing, which is a sharing circle. And you don't have to speak, but we want to give everyone the chance to speak if you care to and choose to. So Chelsea and Risa and Anne and Constance and Yasmin and Michael, I'm inviting you to unmute and share if you are moved to do so. Okay. So I feel it's time to close with Ed, maybe you can give us a song to end with, or thank you.
Okay, can you hear me? I changed that original sound. Tonka shela hela maya ye hela maya ye hela maya ye hela maya ye lo 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 tonka shela ye hela maya ye hela maya ye lo chano bawa maya kuja hela maya ye lo tonka shela hela maya ye hela maya ye hela maya ye hela maya ye lo hela maya ye lo hela maya ye lo tonka shela pela maya ye pela maya ye pela maya ye aho itaku yura bechitu.
Aho, thank you. Toda raba raba. See you tomorrow.
Okay, see everyone tomorrow.
Thank you so much.
Is that everything now? We're done, or is there?
For today, yes.
Okay, so the closing ceremony is part of this right here, right? Okay.
Thank you so much, Ed.
Oh, you're welcome. It's an honor to be here. Thank you for staying. Thanks for all those tech people back there doing all that work.
Yes, Yasmin, thank you. And thank Liberty and Alexis and Maria. And we have Rishab tomorrow. Yes. And Kat was helping us also. And Olivia is gonna help us tomorrow.